Okay, maybe I should have just stayed here all along. So, welcome back to GoToWebinar. Sorry, Facebook Live is not working. So sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so thanks for trying anyway. It wouldn't connect. It just kept saying connecting and just never gave me the go live button. So sorry about that. But at least you're here and we're still together. So that's good. So thanks for jumping over to GoToWebinar for me so that we could be covering this. I didn't want to cancel it and just be like, never mind. I was like, should I just record a video and just upload it to the group? But this is better. We're still live. Okay, so you can ask questions and everything. So yeah, sorry about the technical stuff. Always something, when I'm doing something live, something always goes wrong. So I figured after 10 minutes I'd just abandon it and just go here. Okay, so let me get situated again. If you could, let me know that you are able to hear me and see me again. So do all that stuff all over. Make sure we're all working. Can hear and see. Good. Nice to see you again, Nicole. All right, so same channel, new time, right? Okay. All right. So you guys, just so I know that this is working properly, you can just see me, right? Like you don't see other. Oh, you see other answered questions. Okay. Okay. Only me. Good. Okay. All right. So normally the way the webinars work, which I didn't say this in the last webinar that I just did, is that the chat feed usually only I can see. So if you want to share something personal with me about your business, I don't think you can't see other people's questions and comments. So just feel free to tell me anything that's going on in your business, even if you don't want the whole world to know, because only I can see it. Okay. Thanks again for making the switch over from Facebook Live. Hopefully everybody sees that in the group and gets over here. Okay, so now we're talking about something totally different than I was talking about in the last webinar. So the last webinar was mostly for trainers who are either new in their businesses or struggling. Usually I say making less than 3,000 or so a month. This one is for trainers who typically are making a bit more and are at that point in their business where maybe you are you're getting some clients, might be inconsistent, might be getting to the point where you're not enjoying it as much, you're too busy for the amount of money you're making. Maybe you need to make more money, but you don't have any more time. So you're like, okay, I really need to double my income, or I'd really like to double my income, but I can't double the number of clients I have. I can't double the number of hours I work. So this is a serious danger to the health of your business. This is a trap like quicksand, because it seems like the more action you take to get out of the mess that you're in, the worse it gets. And the danger is, of course, just burning out. What is the point of having this business that you started because you're passionate about something? You love dogs, you love helping people, you love helping animals, you love being outside, you love having your own business, you love not working in a cubicle, you love having control over your own life. All those things that seemed great about having a dog training business, and now you hate it. Now it's like you can't stand to even think about having to answer the phone one more time, or see one more dog, or talk to one more person, or answer the same question for the 100 millionth time this month, or depending on what's happening in your business. Or maybe you are getting enough people contacting you, but not enough of them are signing up. So you're dealing with these price shoppers all the time, and you're talking to these people that are just, most of them are never going to sign up, and you don't know what to do about that. You're attracting the wrong people, and you don't know why. Or you have, things are going along pretty well, you're making enough money, you're happy with the income. This might be another kind of situation some of you are in, doing fine income-wise, but you are just on all the time. You have dogs there all the time. You're answering the phone all the time. You're putting out fires constantly. It's just constant dog training business and nothing else. Somebody I have been working with lately has been in that situation. I just started talking to her, and I love her. She's awesome. She's so fun to talk to, and I love helping her. And she is the kind of trainer, or the kind of person who is just like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Like, I just don't know what to do. It's just, all of it seems equally important. It all is just crashing down on me all at once. I am constantly just doing whatever seems to be the most urgent thing at the time. I don't know how to get out of the situation. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I love her, because then I tell her what to do, and I'm like, okay, I'm the kind of person that will hold your feet to the fire, and it'll be a loving fire, but it's still hot. So she's like, that's good. And that was actually her joke. I said something about like it being a loving fire, and she goes, but it's still hot. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to use that. So I had her work on things specific to her business that she needed to work on. And one of the things that she told me, and she's still working on implementing the things that she needs kind of more time to get implemented, of course. But the biggest thing that was a struggle for her is that she lives in her dog training building, where she does most of her lessons. She lives in part of it, or she did up till recently. And she had, I think she said, 4 dogs of her own and 16 rescues all at once that she's training for different rescues that she works with, and she charges per month for these rescues to stay with her. She's like, I think she told me originally she thought she was making $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and I added up how much she should be getting for these rescues, and it was like $13,000 a month. And she's like, I might be making that. I don't have time to add it up. I have no idea. I'm just constantly in like I gotta make money mode, because that's how I started. I don't even know if I'm doing enough that I could take a break. I just don't know. So in her business, she needed the whole thing just completely, her whole business, she needs it completely torn apart and put back together. And if you're in that situation by yourself, it's almost impossible to do, because you have a couple of things that happen. If a bunch of things need to change, number one, they all seem equally important. Like, I need to get magnets for my car, and I also need to change my website content. Like, what do I do? Like, they're all shiny objects. They're all right in front of your face all the time. So then you end up not either doing any of it and just answer the phone and putting up fires and dealing with the payroll and dealing with the dog that just went to the bathroom in his crate, and all these things that are urgent, and not knowing what the true priority is for the important things. Like, which thing is actually more important? Which thing is going to help you love your business again and get out of the fast track to burning out and hating it? What is going to be the thing that you need to do to be able to make more in less time? It's different for every business, and sometimes it's working on your website content, and sometimes it is getting a magnet for your car. And so how do you know? And that's part of the problem with being able to being on your own, with figuring that out, and especially if you have to rip business and put it back together. The other problem with just not knowing where to focus is that it's scary. Anytime you have to make any change to your business, your immediate worry is, what if it just makes it worse? What if that's just the wrong direction and I just end up digging the hole even further? Like, how do you know? How do you know if something's going to make something better or not? How do you know that if you raise your prices, that everything's not just going to completely fall apart? How do you know? So it's really hard to make the decisions on your own, and that's what I wanted to talk to you, because part of burning out is feeling like nobody understands. Nobody knows what to do, and nobody knows what to tell you to work on and how to fix it. So I wanted to tell you the 2 biggest things that, in my experience, especially with working with trainers privately, one-on-one, which is where I get to know their businesses the most, and seeing the different variety of businesses, the struggles they're going through and the reasons why they're struggling and what needs to be adjusted, and then also helping them adjust it. And doing that for so long, I kind of figured out very broadly what the 2 biggest things are that tend to make the biggest difference. So one of them is an actual thing to do, and one of them is more of a concept, like a mental thing. So you guys know me, most of you know me, you know that I don't spend a lot of time talking about principles and concepts and or like mindset related things, because I want to tell you actual things to do. So it's not just about how you view things, but that is important, because that does change your actions too. It changes how you implement things. So anytime I talk about a mindset related thing or a concept or kind of something abstract, I try to tie that together with an actual, here's how I do it, or here's how other people have done it, here's the actual strategy. So bear with me as I kind of work through the conceptual stuff a little bit too. And make sure you ask me questions as we go through. So I want to know what you guys are doing in your business and what's happening. And if you are one of those that is just, flat out hating your business, burning out, tell me what's happening. Tell me the story as I talk. Just multitask a little bit, even though I don't normally recommend that. And type in the chat box what's going on. Just tell me, dump it emotionally. Like I'm going crazy. I don't know what to do. Just tell me what's happening. Get it off your chest. That's going to be probably one of the big things that helps you right now, is just knowing that somebody, and lots of us on right now, understand you. that we know we've been there or we are there. You know, there's lots of people who are in the same boat with you right now. We understand, we get it. And I've been there too, of course. Like I always say, no matter where you are and who you are in your business, at some point in my business over the last 15 years, I've been there too. So this, you know, is definitely something that is a big problem for a lot of trainers, that you're burning out, you feel overworked, underpaid, not appreciated by, you know, your family for all your hard work because things aren't panning out in one way or another, or by your clients who aren't the greatest clients for some reason or another. Again, you're just like putting out fires all day, and you can never feel like you're getting ahead. It's always fixing everyone else's problems, and your own are neglected. And if you have this problem and things stay the same, you'll find yourself, again, not enjoying the business, not liking dogs, quitting the business altogether. I've seen it happen. And okay, this is saying I'm having bad audio. Can you guys still hear me okay? Oh, I think it went back to normal. Okay, let me know you can still hear me fine. I talk so quickly, you can miss a lot if you stop, if you can't hear it for a few seconds. So, you know, I've seen trainers go from where they are being pretty much ready to quit to enjoying their schedule so much that it's so fulfilling and so easy that they almost feel guilty about it, almost. And I know it's possible from my own experience to get out of, you know, the really bad routine. And I really love helping other people do it too. So you guys who are any of those scenarios that I just described are my favorite to help, because, you know, when you're new and you're struggling, it seems to be a normal part of owning a business. Like, you kind of expect to be new at some point. You kind of expect to have things to figure out at some point. But once you start making money and you start getting clients, you kind of feel like at that point, now that you know how to get clients and you are getting some, you're getting some clients, you're making some money, you're getting some income, the things should smooth out. Like, the things should be okay and things will work out. And then sometimes they just, you know, you feel like you're spinning your wheels and things just keep getting worse. So getting out of the really bad routine and helping you do it is something that is definitely something that I love to help with, and that's why I wanted to do this particular webinar. Most of the time, when trainers start to burn out, they think that the problem is they don't make enough money. So they're like, okay, well, and it might be the case, you might need a better income too. But even if your income is fine and you realize it's fine, you're thinking, if I can just make some more now, then I can afford to take some time off and refocus and figure out what I'm going to do. Then I can take some time off and spend time with my own dogs and my family. Then I can take a break and have a breather. I just need to make some more money first. I need to get my head above water. So what they do is they you know, in thinking that you need to make more money, you take on more clients, you add more services, you start doing pet sitting too, and grooming and walking and selling supplies. And, you know, again, it's just like you're digging in the same direction, right? So that's one thing a lot of trainers will do. Another thing people will do is go ahead and take time off, which is usually a good idea, to schedule yourself a break. But then you feel even more burned out when you come back because of the forest fire with the problems to fix and a load to catch up on. I think it was the same trainer that I was just talking about. I think it was her that told me that she was, you know, talking to a friend about her struggles and the burning out thing, and her friend was like, you know, look, meet me for coffee on a regular schedule. You know, just get away, come and meet me for coffee, and just have it on this calendar like it's a client appointment. So she'd do that, and once every 2 weeks, and that's all, she'd go on Friday morning at 10 o'clock and meet her friend for coffee. And the whole time, she was panicked, thinking, I need to get back. The dogs. You know, I gotta, you know, so what, she wasn't enjoying it. So what was the point, right? So if you know that taking time off is just gonna mean everything's gonna be worse when you get back, then you're not gonna enjoy it as much. But what if you do nothing? You can't expect things to get better just doing what hasn't worked already. Right, so here are, again, the things that I think that have made the most difference to people. And like I said, I've suffered from burnout before too, so I know how much it stinks and how frustrating it is. But for me personally, and this isn't the case for all of you, but this will help me kind of lead into the things to do and telling a story here, is for me personally, I realized that for me, the problem wasn't that I didn't have enough clients. Like, I thought, okay, I need to get some more people. But I don't really have the time to work with more clients. So, you know, couldn't quite make that jump. Like, how do I make more money without working twice as much, right? So the problem wasn't that I had too few clients. I had too many clients, and often a lot of them were the wrong clients, or just the wrong kind of clients. Like, the people might have been fine, but there was a problem in that I was not making enough per person. So for me personally, what happened is I went to a seminar, and it was all about how to attract high-end clients. And it was not industry specific. It was not for dog trainers. It was just how to attract high-end clients. And I was like, okay, maybe that'll help. You know, if I can attract richer people, maybe I can make more money and work less. So I went to the seminar, and there was a bunch of things I learned from it. And one of the biggest things that I learned from it is that high-paying clients is not the same thing as rich people. So that was something that was a big takeaway for me that I wanted to make sure that I bring up. But what I also learned, more importantly, what I learned is that generally people who are higher paying clients, people who spend more each, tend to be better clients overall. So that solves two problems, the underpaid part and the underappreciated part. Because if they spend more, they tend to listen better, they tend to implement better, they tend to get better results, they tend to be better sources of referrals to other people who also see the value in investing in the same thing they invested in. There's a whole bunch of things that get impacted by being able to charge more, being able to get higher paying clients. So then I realized if I had higher paying clients, if I made more per client, even if I did a little bit more work for those particular higher paying clients, I don't have to attract as many people. I don't have to do as many consults. I can do more consults over the phone or group consults, or I can advertise less and spend less on advertising, and then I don't have as much expenses. It's just there's so many things that it impacts to be able to make more in less time and make more per person. So that solved a lot of the problems with the burnout if I could figure out how to actually do that, how to make more per person. So being able to enjoy time off without worrying or feeling guilty about it, and knowing what was coming for me if I took time off, you know, when I go back, working with great clients who appreciated me, that was a big benefit. Being able to earn more per client so that I could have less to deal with, less problems. Like, even when I started training dogs out of my house with the board and train programs, I had, at the time I was living in Pennsylvania, and we had a basement that was set up for the dog crates. And so since it was in my house, that meant that anything that went on in the house was part of every second of my life. Every bark woke up a baby. Every time the dog went to the bathroom in the crate, I had to go down there no matter what time it was or what I was in the middle of. If I had a dog with fleas, my house got fleas. Yeah, so that was my life. So the more dogs I had at a time, the harder everything was. So the stress and anxiety of more and more and more clients, more services, more stuff, more money, more clients, more people, more attraction, more advertising, all that, just adds more of all of those things that impact every other second of your life. So you need to have some kind of separation from the dogs, the business, and the rest of your life. And having higher paying clients can sometimes be the solution to that, because you have less of it. You have less of it to worry about. Less dogs in your house, less driving, less lessons to go to, fewer classes to teach, whatever the case might be. So that is one of the things that tends to be the biggest impact for the most people, is to just start as far as where to focus and what to pay attention to in your business, so you don't have all the shiny objects being equally important. Focus on what will help you make more per client, per person. So if you're already making money, you're already getting clients, how can you increase your income per client? A lot of you guys are familiar with me, and you already have great dog training programs. So some of you might be thinking, well, I just need to raise my prices. If you don't know the things that I've taught before about how to create higher value programs so that you can charge more, and that they see the value of trading more money for the outcome that program gives them, like I talked about in the last webinar. If you don't know all that, then that's something that would definitely help you to learn, to be able to recreate your services, recreate how they're described, how they're presented, how they're structured. And that's definitely something I can help you with. If you're charging by the hour or you're charging by packages of lessons, then that's the number one thing that you can change that would impact how much you make per person. Because you might not be able to just raise your prices, just straight out add another zero, or double your prices. That might not be possible. people may not be willing to spend more for the same amount of time. So maybe right now, if you're charging $100 an hour, you might be thinking there is no way anybody's going to spend $200 an hour. So if I need to make double and I don't have double the time, I can't just go double in my prices. It's not going to work. And I get that. What actually needs to change is not how much you charge for your time, but what you're actually selling. So changing what you're selling from how you structure it right now, how your programs are, your classes, what you include, the number of lessons in them, what the outcomes are that the people expect from the programs, the people you're attracting. Maybe you think I can make more by having an aggressive dog program, but I hate working with aggressive dogs. It ruins my day. It's just not my thing. Then why do you have an aggressive dog program? Like maybe you just need to change it all. Get rid of the things that stress you out and the things that you don't like about your business and attract the people you want for what you deserve to make. And that's really what the goal is, the thing that you're going for, the thing that you are going to be focusing on from now on is how to do that. And you might not know how to do it, and it is different for every business. All of you have a different business. You all have unique situations, unique ideal clients that you like to work with, that you do your best work for. You all have different training methods, and you all have different program types. Some of you do only groups, some of you do only board and trains, and some of you do all of them. You might have other services too, like pet sitting and walking and grooming and all that, and maybe you don't want to get rid of those, and that's fine. You're all different. So one of the most important things to remember, because you're all different, is that I've been teaching dog trainers for 6 years, and I've seen it all. So in listening to you for a really short period of time, I can almost always figure out where exactly the hole is in your business. And it's so awesome for you because I didn't have anybody like that. When I was in my business, I had to figure it out on my own. I had to experiment. I spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars on marketing courses, went to seminars and workshops and all kinds of things to figure out what was wrong and what I was doing wrong or what I needed to improve or how things worked or what to do to be able to get to the outcome I want. But you can't do that if you don't have the target in mind. So for right now, from now on, if you're in those scenarios I was talking about before, your target is making more per client. That is the thing that you're focusing on. All the things that you need to do, advertising-wise, marketing-wise, everything else is now focused on that one thing. So there might be something else too that you need to do, but it all ends up impacting that outcome so that you don't burn out. And not everybody can just raise their prices, right? So you might not just be able to, like I said, just increase your prices and do nothing else. You might have to change your website content. You might have to change the way you talk to your prospects or what you say or how you say it or in what order you say it. There's lots of things that impact how much you can make per person, and they're all part of marketing, and they're all things that I can help you with. And a lot of the things, some of the things are things that I can give you free resources on, and some of you would rather me just take your hand and walk you through everything. Or even do things for you, like rewrite your website for you, rewrite your programs for you, or figure out, analyze your prices for you or something. And I can do that too. Everybody has a different situation and the amount of help they want. If you're more of a do-it-yourselfer, I can point you in that direction too. So next thing to do, as soon as this webinar is over, what I want you to do, just so I can help you and point you in the right direction, even if I never talk to you again and I just point you in the right way and say, go do this, then that's great. That's totally fine. That's how I'll help you. Go to makeitasadogtrainer.com, the main website. On the right side at the top, there's a link that says, what does it say? Oh, I forgot. Burning out, something like that. Let me look at it because I forgot what it says. But you'll see it. It's the link on the right side that says burning out, this is for you, something like that. Burning out, this one's for you. Okay, click on that link. You can read through that information if you want to, but click on the link for that's on that next page, the little button. The button says, tell me what's happening now. So click on that. It'll take you like 5 minutes when we're done to just fill out that questionnaire. I can read it, and I will almost immediately know exactly what you need to focus on. Is it your website content? Is it your programs? Should you change your prices? Should you change your sales process? Is it your advertising? Do you need to do more, do you need a magnet on your car? Do you need your SEO redone? All that stuff, I can usually figure that out really, really quickly. Might need to ask you a couple extra questions, but having my brain as your resource is something that I love to be able to give you because I didn't have anybody to help me like that when I was starting. So I like to be able to do it. If you want more help from me one-on-one, you want to throw it all at me and say, figure it out, take it apart, put it back together, tell me what to do all this stuff for me, rewrite everything, whatever, that's fine. That's awesome. I have programs for that too. So just let me know how I can help and what I can do to get you where you want to go. So that's the first thing, is to just make sure that if you're in those scenarios that I talked about, you're one of those people, you know, you're burning out, you're hating the business, you're making an income, even if it's inconsistent, whether it's consistent or not, you need to make more or make the same amount in less time, or make more in less time. That's what you focus on, making more per client. A lot of times the biggest way to do that is to do something similar to what I talked about in the last webinar, is to have big programs that are high priced and high value, so people will pay more for your time because they're getting more peace of mind and convenience, and they're getting a higher level of result. They're getting their dog to be able to listen off-leash and around distractions, so they have the freedom to go anywhere with their dog, and maybe they want that. So they're willing to pay more to get that outcome for the extra convenience of you coming to them and working one-on-one with their dog, and the peace of mind of lifetime support, you know, things like that. So I talked about that in the last webinar a bit, about how to create a big program. But that might be the only thing you need to do. You might just need one big program that people can choose from, so you can make, you know, you can increase your average income per client from, you know, $600 to $1,800. I see it happen all the time. I told you guys a story about Crystal in the last webinar. She increased her income from one year to the next from $9,000 to $90,000 from the same number of people. She went from averaging around like $170 or $180 a client to averaging around $1,800 a client from one year to the next. So just by changing her programs, changing what she actually offered, how it was structured and how it's described. So simple things. Sometimes a bit of a experiment, trial and error, figuring out what people will do when you make those changes. Sometimes it is less of an experiment, especially if you don't want to take the time to experiment and just want me to look at your business and figure it out and say, how about, you know, what do you think about this? How about if you offered it this way instead and changed this, took this out, described it this way, let me just rewrite it for you and see what you think, and we'll nail it, you know, hammer it down until it sounds exactly like you, but the best way. Maybe you just don't want to take the time to experiment, you just want to do that. That would be the quickest way to do it. But whatever works better for you, you might be more of a do-it-yourselfer, and that's fine too. Let's see here, what else I was going to tell you about that. I'm just looking at my notes. So when it comes to what you're offering, like, so in order to make more money per person, it's not always as simple as, like I said, just raising your prices and shrinking your services, like taking stuff out and making it more expensive. Well, it kind of is, but there's a little asterisk there. It's, you know, much of what you can charge depends on how you're describing or you're presenting your services. So if you think about shopping at the grocery store, and often there's like a store brand of something with a plain white label, it's ugly and it's cheap, and it's, you know, the cheapest thing of that particular product. And then there's another item that's similar with a nicer label. It's twice as much money. You look at the ingredients and they're exactly the same. Just one's half the price with a you know, store brand label. Often the only difference is how it's presented. Obviously, people do still buy the more expensive one. Maybe we wouldn't. Maybe we'd look at the label and be like, I'm going to get the cheapest. But it depends on what it is. You might also look at it and realize, okay, this one that's double the money has a nicer label, but it's also better. Like, this one is just peanuts and salt, and this one is just peanuts and salt, but that peanut butter is way better than that one, and it's $7. So I'm going to get that one. If you're like me, I'm a peanut butter fanatic. So that's just me. I'll buy the expensive peanut butter because it's better. It's the same with your services. You can often raise your prices and simply change the label, the way it's presented. In your case, it's the description of the programs and the presentation of your programs. What you actually say is included. And writing that, learning how to write that so it attracts the people you want and makes them value your services more than just the ingredients, more than just the time and the process that you include in that program. That is a huge part of marketing, a huge skill to have. And it can have an impact, like immediately, overnight, from 1 month to the next, making a huge income change in the same number of hours that you're already working. So that's the first thing, is focus on making more per client if you're burning out. Number two, I've kind of alluded to it in the process of explaining all that, and it's a little bit of a mental thing, and that's realizing that not all the things on your plate have equal importance. So again, it's a little bit of a concept, but what I mean by that is that if you were to make a list of everything that you felt like needs to be accomplished, everything weighing on your mind, everything that's not finished, everything you've put off, everything you need to work on, all the things in your business that need improvements, everything. If you were to write everything down and you looked at that, you would realize, if you looked at it objectively, which ones would be the ones that would have the impact on the things that you need to do. Like, let's say you decided, okay, yeah, that's true, I need to focus on the things that will give me a greater income per client. Which things are those? You'll start to see on your giant list which things are not related to that. It might not be related to getting those brownies over to the vet office. It might not be related to getting a magnet on your car. It might not be related to, the certain tasks even for your business might not have anything to do with that ultimate goal of the thing you need to focus on right now. So realizing that not everything has equal priority in your business, that they're not all equally shiny objects, it sets you free, because you know that there are some things you can just let go. There are some things you can cross off and say, I really don't need to do that. I don't need to get, maybe you don't need more traffic right now to your website, so you can cross off figuring out how to do that. Hold that off until later, because you're already getting enough calls. You just need to make more out of those people. Or maybe you realize, I'm only getting 2 calls a month and they're spending $3,000 each, but if I lose one client, I make half as much money that month and then I'm dead. Then you need to focus more on the advertising, because 2 people a month isn't enough to count on. Right? So things like that. You can start to look at your whole list with the idea of knowing what to focus on and what you actually need, and get rid of everything else. Which things are the things that if you focused on them right now, even if you sacrificed a little bit more of your valuable time right now, that it would be an investment that would actually free up your time and your mental energy really quickly, soon. So don't just be like, okay, I got to stay up all night and just get everything done. That's not always what's important. What's important might be one thing that you might need to, not watch Game of Thrones for the next 2 weeks and just get it done. And then it's out of the way. It's done. Then you have way more time, and you can rewatch all the rest of the seasons of Game of Thrones all at once, or whatever you want to do. So if you're not sure where to focus, or which things to get rid of, or what's actually going to have the biggest income the fastest on your business, again, the most important thing to do is to go ahead and go over to that questionnaire, that short questionnaire I told you about, so I can just tell you, so you don't have to figure it out on your own. Go, make it as a dogtrainer.com, click on the link that says burning out, click on the button, fill that out. It'll take you a few minutes longer if you want to write a book, and that's totally fine if you do. I have people do that all the time. This is somebody that, like a month ago, wrote the longest one I've ever seen. I mean, it took me like probably a good half hour to read it, but it was great, and it was funny, and it was really well written. So I'm happy to have you write a book if you want, but you can just take 5 minutes and fill it out too. And then I'll ask you extra questions if I don't have enough information about something. So if you don't know where to focus, for example, how do you know that if you took a step back from advertising, just all the things to get people to find out that you exist and get your name out there, if you took a step back from that and focused more on attracting your most ideal clients out of the people who may be already finding you, or focused on making more per client, or on your sales process, so you get more people out of the people you're already meeting with every month, how do you know that that's not going to be the wrong thing to focus on, that there might be one other little thing that if you just flipped that and switched it a little bit, it would change everything? How do you know? And it's scary, again, to do something different because you worry that it's going to be the wrong thing, or it's going to make something worse. You can't afford that. You can't afford for something to get worse. You're going to start shooting people. Like, you just can't handle it, right? So it's really easy for me to figure out, and that's why I wanted to do this as a Facebook Live, because I wanted it to be super casual and just answer your questions and just hang out, because you guys are in a different situation. You don't necessarily have time for me to go through an hour-and-a-half long webinar and teaching things and then answering a bunch of questions about things like you know, whether or not you should have your prices on your website and things like that. You might have been around me long enough to know all that already, and you're just not sure what to do for yourself, for your own business, where to focus, what to do next, what to do tonight, what to do tomorrow, what to do on the consult this weekend that would make them sign up for something twice as much. That might be something that you need me to figure out for you. So use me. That's why I'm here. So if you're, like I said, if you're tired of having the schedule that leaves you feeling tired and overworked and unsure where to start on a plan to fix it, then that's what I can help you with. Go fill out the questionnaire, and then I will figure it out for you. So again, if you don't know where it is, again, just go to the main website, makeitasadogtrainer.com, click on the link that says Burning Out, and click on the button to tell me what's going on, and fill it out. And I will send you an email, or, you know, sometimes I might get on the phone with you too, so it depends on what's happening. Okay, so let me see if you guys have any questions. Tell me what's happening in the business, and I forget Tom's comment, and I'll tell you what it says in a second. Tell me what struggles are in your business right now, what you feel like is the biggest hole in your business. Do you think it's maybe your programs, or your prices, or your website, or your sales process, or your advertising? Is it, you know, you need a new wrap on your car? Is it the vet stop referring you? Like, what's the problem? What do you feel like, if you had to guess, is probably the problem in your business? Just tell me about that, even if you don't have a question, and then I can do that. Nicole says done. She filled out the form. Good for you. Thanks, girl. Okay, so Nicole says, I raised my board and train prices that I mentioned before because I was starting to get burned out. So yeah, I did that when I was starting to burn out. When I first did that seminar about attracting high-end clients, the first thing I did was I went home and I created a program that was bigger than every other program I've ever had. Like, I was like, okay, I'm just going to throw everything in. It's going to be way more money than I think anybody will ever pay. And I'm just going to offer it. Nobody buys it. They'll buy one of the smaller ones. No big deal. You know, if they don't want the big thing that includes everything, that's fine. So I did that. I created a $3,500 program. And at the time, and not everybody can do board and train programs. So don't let that frighten you if you can't do board and train. It's not the only way to have a high-end program. That's fine. So for me personally, I could take a couple dogs at a time in my house. I realized that was my limit, you know, for my sanity. I had my 2 dogs, and one of them was always pretty intense. He was, you know, he was a pit bull, and you know, pit bulls are like permanently puppies. You know, he was just on all the time, right? So he was like having 5 dogs in one. And then I had a super awesome, like once in a lifetime dog. It was an Australian Shepherd that was just amazing, just one of those amazing, easy dogs, just right from the start. So I had the balance there a little bit. You know, I had Buddy the pit bull that was crazy, and I had my Australian Shepherd that was super calm and easygoing. And Buddy is the one that I used for demos because he was the one that people could relate to. He was the normal, crazy, silly dog that wouldn't have otherwise listened if he wasn't trained, right? So I had the 2 of them, and I knew that in my house, with all the noise and everything else going on with the kids and stuff, I could only handle 2 dogs at a time. So I created this $3,500 program, and it was a 3-week board and train program. And I offered it, and I was like, nobody's ever going to spend that, right? This is somebody who studies marketing, you know, for a living and as like a hobby. And I was like, nobody's ever going to spend that. So that tells you that I've been where you are. Like, I even said that, right? So I offered it in the next consultation I had, along with my other programs that were cheaper and had less stuff in it. And that client signed up both their dogs, 2 dogs, for that program. So it was $7,000 for one client that would have otherwise been, if they'd signed up for the next lower program, the previous version of my biggest program, they would have been maybe $3,200, something like that, from the one client, which is still good, but $7,000 is better. But then in offering that for long enough and people taking it, I realized having dogs at my house for 3 weeks for me was too long. Like, after 10 days, I was kind of repeating the same things, and I was really ready for the owners to take over and then for me to fine-tune the dogs from there. And that was just me, personally. So I started shortening it. I kept the price the same and kept shortening it, and then I'd lower the price a little bit and shorten it more, and then I'd shorten it more and raise the price a little bit until I found that happy medium. And eventually, by the time we left Pennsylvania, my biggest program was 7 days, and it was $2,900 something like that. And then I had a 4-day version that was more like an intense version, and it was less, had fewer lessons at their house and all that. So I went from having a 3-week for $3,500 and thinking nobody would buy it to having a 1-week for $2,900 and people buying it all the time. So it took a while to kind of figure out that balance of raising the prices and lowering what I was offering. But it also took a lot of figuring out how to describe the program and how to explain the benefits of it so that people saw the value in spending $2,900 on a 1-week board and train when they could spend $800 on a 4-week board and train in the next town. Because it wasn't just about the dollar per day, like the cost per day. It was about what they were going to get out of it in the end. So I had to make sure that they trusted me and they liked me and they understood all that and the value and the outcome and all that, how it was different. So it was a lot of learning and tweaking and those things too. And that was back in like 2010 that I did that. So yeah, it was quite a while ago. Okay, Nicole says, too many clients, not enough income, buying my first house because I'm too big for my current location. So you're outgrowing your location, you have too many clients and not enough income, so you need to make more, but you can't get more clients, you can't take more clients, and you're already outgrowing your situation. Yeah, you're like on like bullet train to burning out. So that's, yeah, you get it, you know what I'm talking about. Frank says his biggest problem is so much competition. Okay, so your focus is going to be standing out. How do you stand out? And number one way of doing that, or there's lots, I can't really say that's the number one way. There's lots of ways of doing that. But focusing your marketing content around the benefits of what you do more so than actually what you do. Because I can guarantee you that your competition mostly is focusing on their processes rather than the results in their marketing content. We offer this thing. We offer these classes. They are this long, they're this many weeks, and they are this much money, and they include these commands. Those are things. That's the process. What do they get in the end? What are the problems they have? Why are they contacting you for training in the first place? Why is their dog driving them crazy? What is going to happen if they don't get their dog trained? What's the worst case scenario? Those are the frustrations. What do they want? What kind of peace and happiness and freedom do they want? That's what you describe. You talk about the frustrations, you talk about the outcomes. The process is, incidental. Later. It might be part of the details included in your program descriptions about how it actually works, but what's more important is that they get that you understand the problems and the frustrations, and that they can understand what you expect them to get out of it in the end, the outcome. If you focus your marketing content on that, that immediately helps you stand out, because most people don't do that. They don't know how. So really pay attention to that. Someone says, I recently went from a 5 to 10 day board and train schedule back to back. So I'm working 7 days a week, not burning out, but not thinking this will work long term. So yeah, I totally get that. You're like a few steps behind burning out, where you're working constantly and you're liking it, you're still enjoying it, it's good, you're making good money, but you can see it's not going to work forever. So what you might want to do is see if you can make more per person so that you can have 3 weeks like that in a month and 1 week with no dogs. So there's always a week that you get a break, so you can recharge and just not have that to deal with. So 5 to 7 days back to back, 3 weeks, and figure out how you can take that income that you currently make in 4 weeks and get it into the 3 weeks so that you can have a week with nothing, or a week with just the private lessons or something like that. So I did that too. After I got the programs all figured out, we eventually started taking 1 or 2 dogs at a time for those board and train programs, and 1 week every month where we had no dogs, and it was absolutely off limits. Like, it doesn't matter if a client can only sign up for 1 program and it can only be that week. It's too bad. They'll figure it out. If they really want me to train their dog, they'll bring their dog when I'm available. So I had to get an attitude after a while, because I knew I was going to hate it if I didn't. I have a friend in New Jersey who was like the closest thing I ever had to a mentor in the dog training industry. I talked to her before I even started. I found her on AOL, back in the AOL days where you could search for people's profiles, right? And I searched for a dog trainer in New Jersey or something, and came across her and contacted her, and she was awesome. She was so helpful to me right from the beginning. She eventually, years down the road, got to the point where she was like, I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm going back to being a vet tech. I can't stand it anymore. You know, I can't stand people's dogs in my house. I don't want to have another client in my house. I don't want to see anybody. I'm finished. I'm done. So she stopped training dogs for a while, eventually got back to it, but decided she would only take one dog at a time for 5 days. And there had to be, I think it was like 2 weeks or something in between each dog that she'd have to take a break. And she charged enough to make it worth any kind of irritation that dog would ever cause her. And she got it because she was awesome. She was awesome at what she did, and she could make sure her prospects could understand the value of that awesomeness by what she said in the description of the programs. So she got what she felt like it was worth her time to take these dogs. The exclusivity the client got for having one dog, she had one dog for 5 days, and it was her sole focus for that 5 days. The dog went everywhere with her, was next to her all the time for the whole 5 days. That has a lot of value to people. So she's like, I'll do that. I can handle that for 5 days, and then having 2 weeks off, I can do that. But then she charged enough to make it worth it to her to have that kind of schedule for those 5 days. And that's the only way she was going to come back to training dogs, was to do something like that. And that's what worked for her. So you don't have to go to that extreme necessarily. You might just need to change your program descriptions a little bit. But it might just be something small. You might not have to quit and then go back to it in 5 years. Okay, Tom says, Peter Pan honey roasted is the best. The best peanut butter. Okay, so in Australia, they're not really peanut butter people, but there is a huge section of peanut butter at the grocery store, and it's none of the usual, most of the time, none of the usual brands. Like you can get Smucker's natural, but you can't get Skippy. Once in a while you can get Skippy, like the regular kind, but not the natural kind. And they have this natural peanut butter that's called Pix, P-I-C''S, and it just says on the label, it says really good peanut butter. And you know what? It is really good peanut butter. And the jar is like one of those small jars, and it's $7. And I get a bunch of them when they're on sale, but sometimes I will spend $7 on one of those. So yeah, I'm a peanut butter snob. Nicole says, I can't get any vets to refer me. Okay, so make sure that you get that, that PDF that I told you about in the last webinar that helps you with that, because it is the easiest way to get vets to refer you, even if they already refer somebody else exclusively. Because it's a little bit of it's a different strategy. It's a kind of a little trick. So make sure you get that. What did you put in it? I don't know what that question is about, Nicole. Sorry, I forgot what I was talking about when you wrote that. What did you put in it? So what are you talking about? Oh, the program? Is that what you're talking about? The big program? My 3-week board and train program at the time when I first created it was 3 weeks, 3 private lessons at their house, but it also had unlimited lessons. So if they needed more help, the 3 was like my recommendation, but they didn't have, that wasn't the limit. They could do more. They never did. They only ever did 2 or 3 lessons. Very rarely would they ever do anything in the unlimited stuff. Also had unlimited commands, so if they wanted to teach new commands, that was included. Never used that, but they always thought that was cool. It was a good peace of mind thing. It had 5 days of pet sitting, they board and train. I would only ever board and train 1 client dog at a time, maybe 2 if it was the same family. And it would only clients' dogs, nobody else's dogs, because I knew I could keep them quiet and control them. So that sounds mean, but you know what I mean. If you're burning out, you know what I mean. So that was what was included in that program. It was a 5-day credit for pet sitting, and if they were gone longer, then they'd pay the per day rate after that. What else? I think I gave them other stuff like the placemats and cots and things and leashes and you know, little things like that that weren't really like officially mentioned in the description, but were extras that I'd give them anyway. A whole bunch of unlimited things, lifetime support guarantee. You know, if they ever needed any extra help, they wouldn't pay for extra lessons. It's all part of the program. All kinds of stuff. Anything that gave them peace of mind, anything that gave them more convenience, anything that saved them time and effort, anything that gave them a higher level of result. Off-leash reliability, you know, resolving the really common unwanted behaviors, and distractions, all that stuff. That's mainly what it was. 1 week, no dogs, that's a dream, Tony says. Yeah, there you go. That's what you focus on. Yeah, Nicole, your the link for the inner circle, again, if you go to the regular makeitasadogtrainer.com website, on the left, instead of clicking on the right link, the one that says burning out, on the left it says the marketing club. Click on that, and the code was live10, LIVE10. So that's what it was. Okay, so that big kitchen sink program, Nicole, as I adjusted it, it got shorter, 2 weeks and then 1 week. No, 2 weeks and then 10 days and then 1 week. And I didn't change the price lower until I got to the 10-day point, and then I made the price lower, and then by the time I got to the 1 week, then I had it lower again, and then I raised it again over time. So that's how I got that balance between the price and then the number of weeks the dog was with me. But I kept all those other bonuses in. I just shortened the amount of work it was for me, which was the number of weeks that the dog stayed at my house. I also, just so you know, especially as I lowered the number of weeks the dog was with me, I started focusing on the value of that week, or that time the dog was with me, as giving the dog such a big head start that it saved the owner so much time and effort and work in the beginning. I did not present it as a start to finish, your dog is trained, you don't have to do anything. Because I still wanted them to learn, I still wanted them to apply, I still wanted the dog to listen to them, and they still had to learn stuff for that. But they had a huge jump start by the dog coming to me for the amount of time that was included in the program. So that's one thing to keep in mind with board and train programs, is that you may not need to keep the dog, there's a fly in here, sorry. You might not need to keep the dog long enough to get them finished. The value is the work that you're saving the client, so that might be less time. And that's still a huge value. So just make sure that you keep that in mind, that you don't have to treat it like, I got to keep the dog for a month because that's how long it takes me to finish them. A week is still a huge head start. That's still a value. So maybe that's one of the smaller board and train options you have. Okay. Okay, I think I got all your questions here. All right, so let me see here. I'm just going to go over here. So again, if you want me to get my brain on your business and figure out what to do next and how to focus everything, what to pay the most attention to, what to do, most important things to focus on in your business, resources, all kinds of stuff that I can send you depending on what you need to work on, go fill out that form. makeitasadogtrainer.com, click on burning out, here's what to do, or this one's for you, whatever it says, and then click on the button to tell me what's happening in your business. Fill that out. Could take you as little as 5 minutes or less, or as long as you want. And tell me what's happening, and then I can tell you what to pay the most attention to. And again, it's just based on years and years and years of having helped countless dog trainers turn around their businesses at any point, whether they are brand new and not getting any clients at all, or they've been training for years and their business is just an absolute nightmare for them and they hate it, and everywhere in between. So I've seen it all, and I know exactly what you need to do. So you don't have to figure it out on your own. Okay, so go do that, and if you have any other questions that you think of later, make sure you shoot me an email or send me a message on Facebook. I'll be around on and off. It's only 11:30 here. Tony, I'm getting ready to call you, so I will talk to you in a couple of minutes, and the rest of you guys, stay in touch, and I will talk to you again hopefully very soon. And I look forward to reading your answers on that questionnaire. So talk to you later. Thanks again. Thanks for joining me. Bye.